Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of our new podcast series. I'm David from Wooxy, and I'm very excited to introduce our guest for this episode, Kamila. Hello, Kamila.
Hi, how are
Kamila,
you?
I'm good. I hope you're doing well today, just because Kamila has an extensive background in managing sales departments for large IT companies, and she's a master at optimizing business processes. She's the founder and CEO of Zurito, a company that specializes in training and audits to improve business processes. Am I right?
Yes, basically.
Basically, yes. As well as helping companies streamline operations, integrate departmental work, and boost overall efficiency. In today's episode, we'll dive into the very interesting topic on how to start a sales department from scratch. I mean, early challenges, rebooting, and technology's role. Then we'll talk about the scaling process, which includes avoiding chaos, process standardization, and if I'm not mistaken, leadership. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's get it started. Kamila, thank you once again for joining us. We are excited to learn from your expertise today. And my first question gonna be starting from scratch. Okay, what are the foundational steps a company should take when building a sales department from the ground up?
This is actually a very interesting question. I think not a lot of companies think about some of the aspects before hiring their first sales. And then they realize they have maybe hired the best person that they could find on the market, but it doesn't work well with the company. So what I would recommend is first to think, what kind of sales do you need? So do you need to keep taking care of the existing customers and developing them? Or maybe do you need someone to look for new accounts, go to meetings, meet people in real life and create their own strategy? Maybe you have already a list of potential customers and you need someone to make a call to those people and try to pitch them your product. So the most important question is, who do I need in my team? And also, I think at the beginning, you will need someone with hybrid skills. So you will need someone to take care of your most important customers that you have already acquired, but also to look for new accounts and to make relationships with new potential customers. And then another questions would be where the sales will need help. Because a lot of people think of selling as a complete set of skills, which means I hired great salesperson. I give them a phone and they do their job, which is not really possible because they need to learn about your company. They need to learn about your product, but they also need to learn about your processes. So they will need help from another department. If you can set up those processes from the very beginning, for example, are there any contracts to sign? How do we sign them? How do we deliver the product? Who is responsible for the fulfillment part of the sales process? Or what is the information that we want to give about the product to our potential customers? If you have those things figured out before hiring your first salesperson, then you will be able to better adjust them to the company. And you will know that you need someone who is very meticulous about their process, or you just need a sales, very aggressive, I would say, kind of person who just needs to call people, who just needs to make people excited about your product and then moves other part of the process to someone else.
Yeah, as I understand, there is a difference between like a person who sell to your existing customers and the person who sell to your new customers. Am I right?
Yes, definitely. If you need someone with more of an account manager profile, you need someone who's really good at developing long-lasting relationships and to dig very deep within the customer structures to find out how they can use your product in very different ways. Because a lot of times customers come to you with one specific need and they don't even realize that your product may fulfill their other, may help with other problems that they have within their company. So this is the role of account manager, to help them use your offer in full. When we are thinking about business developers, we are thinking about someone who's really good at first, how do you say that? At first impression. So they can get people excited about your product. They can find that connection with the prospect and your product, and then follow through with sales. So this is a different type of personality, I would say. There are people who can do both, obviously, but in my experience, I find that every salesperson has their strong suit. So every salesperson is better at one or the other.
Yeah. As I understand, you hire not only the professional, but only a personality. Not personality, like or personality. Am I right? Just because there's a difference between the suit, business suits of the person and the personality. Mm-hmm. For example, if I want to become a salesperson, my personality just cannot match. Yes, am I right, or something?
Well, yes. I mean, if you have troubles with, I'm that person. I'm very awkward at the beginning when I meet someone. So I'm not very good at the business developer or SDR job because it takes me longer to create that true connection with somebody. So yes, the personality matters in that sense. Definitely.
Just because, for example, me personally, I cannot sell aggressively, at least. Anyway, starting with a solid foundation is key. But the next big step is often building a team that can bring your vision to life, your company's vision to life. So when hiring and training a new sales team, what should companies focus on to make sure they succeed in the long run?
So I think very important part is knowledge about your product. And I see product from a couple of different perspectives. First, you have the owner who created the brand, who created the product or the service, and they have a very personal connection with whatever they are selling. Then you have the technical department or like product team who worked on putting this vision to life, and they also have their own unique view of the product. And then you have salespeople or customer service who is very close with customers. So they also gain a different vision of the product through the eyes of the customer. So I think in order to build a team that can allow the company to succeed, you need to be aware of different visions of the product, and you need to be able to communicate them, and you need to be able to work with them. So, for example, when you are hiring sales team and you are like a small business owner, you probably tell them about your product from your perspective. And when they go to the world and talk about this, they try to replicate your perspective, which does not work because it's not their story. It's your story as the CEO, as the owner. So they need to find out their way to express the value of the product. And they need to find their own way to connect this product with the customer. And I think that's the most difficult at the beginning, at least for the sales teams, because it's kind of you live, you learn situation. So there is no book that you can write about it from the start because you don't know those different perspectives. So you need to learn as you go.
So as I understand, I need a team who can properly reflect my story, not to tell the story from their perspective, or reflect my perspective as much as it's possible.
Yes, you need to look at your product from different perspectives in order to train your sales team so that they can pick the right vision to the right customer, I would say.
Okay. Now it's clear. Just because building a team, as I know from my experience, it's not that big, but anyway, I have a little experience, and building a team is just the beginning. But what happens when things don't go as planned? For example, sometimes even with the best efforts, sales department might underperform, and in those situations, what are the first steps you would recommend to effectively reboot it?
The first advice is to look at data. If you capture any, and I hope you are capturing the data, because you need to know, for example, with sales team, you need to know how they work, you need to know how busy they are to figure out if they are doing the job or not. And also you need to figure out what is their go-to. So do they work with phone calls? Do they work with emails? Do they prefer go-to meetings? And how is that strategy working for them? So are they successful with that, or do they need help? Also, when it comes to sales team, you need to know what is the lead capturing process. So how they are getting information about prospects and why those prospects. Do you have a marketing team that is bringing the leads to the team? Or do you have salespeople that they just look at the internet and look for the companies that they can contact? It's really important to have the information first to then better act on this information in the future.
Yeah, and I have my next question. Just because getting a department back on track is one thing. For example, I did it successfully. Look into the data, analyzing the data if I have the data. But keeping it moving as you grow is another challenge. Just because, for example, I have a company, I have a product, it's constantly growing, and just because I'm technical person, I know more about technology than sales, building sales departments and stuff like that. And technology often help with this. How important is technology in growing a sales department, and what tools or systems would you suggest for that specific tasks in this area?
Yeah, so I think right now there is no point in having a sales team without technology that they can use to support their work. So there are a lot of CRMs on the market right now to run sales team. A lot of them. And I have checked, and actually a lot of them have very similar features. So they are not that much different one from another. And they all have basic things, basic features the same. So it's not about what CRM you choose. It's more about how you use the technology, how you use the CRM to support your sales. And I think a lot of the businesses, they take CRM, they don't think about the sales process. So they take CRM as is, and they ask sales to put the information there without realizing what information the sales actually capture. And then the salespeople get discouraged because when you don't have a streamlined process, it's annoying to use those systems. So they get annoyed, they don't use it. And then the manager gets frustrated because they don't have data to back up whatever people are saying. In order to fix that, you have to think about the sales process. You have to maybe meet with customers, maybe shadow the sales conversations with customers, find out how they are working, how they are capturing the information, and then try to replicate it in the CRM. So when you ask them for data, you know what data they are actually capturing, or maybe what data you want them to capture, and you set it up in the system so that it's easier for them to use the tool that you have for them. And also CRM to me is like a part of hygiene. You think your hands, you don't think about it. The same way when you talk with customers, you put the note in the CRM, not in your notebook, not in your phone. Yeah. I mean, if your CRM is in your phone, good, great. But you put it right away in the CRM because you don't want to forget. And you want to have the freshest mindset, the freshest information that you can get. You don't want to sit down on the Friday and think about all of the hundreds of meetings that you had this week and just figure out what you said with what customer. You want to do that right away. And this is a very important part of using this technology.
Yeah. So firstly, as I see, I have to know which features do I need for example, just because there's a lot of option on the market in different fields, including video editing. Today I can find so many programs that have one have a list of features, another list, and etc.
So I think you need to know your process. You need to know how you work.
My process,
and then you can find out which features go with that process.
Yeah, and choose the programs I need, including CRM.
Yeah.
Or CRM is the first. I suppose CRM is the first one.
Well, I work with sales teams or with customer care teams. So for me, CRM is the most important one.
Yeah.
But it goes with anything else. I have set up my business and I have looked for a tool that will help me manage my processes, my tasks. And so that's what I did. First, I worked with just a notebook to figure out how I work. And then I looked for a tool that will help me put that into my computer. I didn't try to change the way I work to fit the tool. I was looking for the tool to fit how I work.
Yeah, that's exactly how it is. Technology, in fact, can definitely grow, simplify the process. It's a fact. But as a business starts scaling, starts growing, it faces new challenges. I'm talking about the abstract challenges. And so when a company is doing well but needs to scale, how should it prepare to handle increased demands without compromising quality? Or that's it.
So that's it. Well, it's hard. And did you know that 50% of businesses fail within their first 5 years because they were not able to scale correctly? That's a very interesting data that actually shows that the most important thing when scaling is communication and keeping those communication channels alive and working together in keeping the departments close one to another. Because when you have more customers, you have more noise from those customers. They have different needs. They have different, inputs. They have different maybe comments about your product or your service. So it's important to ensure that you have systems in place to manage it effectively. What a lot of businesses do is that they forget about their vision and they forget about their strategy and they try to accommodate their customers. No. And what happens is that they are being reactive to the customers. So they are responding to customers' needs, but they are not being visionary anymore. So they are not 2 steps ahead of their customers and thinking about what they may need in the future. They are trying to solve their current problems. And that's just messing up with the whole strategy.
Can you bring an example on this? Just because I'm interested. So how I can forget about my vision, my business vision, and start going with customers' needs. How it's happening?
I think that the Apple ecosystem, it's a good reflection of that. Because when they started to care too much about their customers and about what their customers want and need, they actually stopped being first on the market when it comes to new technology. They started making improvements that the customers actually didn't like. Because what a lot of people don't realize is that what people want is not necessarily what they need. Our first...
Yeah, that's correct.
Actually, when customers come to you and they say about their problem, it's usually the symptom of a bigger problem that is behind it. So you need to look for those bigger problems and not try to fix the symptoms.
Yeah.
I don't know if that explains it, but
now it's clear, but not completely. Just it's not always what customer needs. Can I combine these? For example, don't forget about my business vision and go with customers' needs and like wants and stuff like that. Just because bigger companies, they are combining somehow.
Well, yes and no, because big companies, a lot of times they don't care about what their customers are saying. They are making changes.
They don't care.
There's another, like, Netflix changed their whole subscription model by not allowing anymore like different people all over you and your friends using the same profile. So they don't care because it doesn't go well with their strategy, and they aren't afraid to make people angry sometimes because they know they have a plan for the future that will kind of make up for that. So I know smaller businesses don't have the huge revenue behind them, so they cannot make their only customers angry, but they can have a dialogue with customers and dig deeper. When the customer said, I want this, you need to find out why do they want this? What is the reason behind that? And maybe you have a solution that you have already in your strategy that will come in the future that will solve this problem. And you don't have to change anything. You just have to communicate and keep your course. And actually, you will solve the problem for the customer.
But what if you don't have a solution?
You have some vision for your business, I assume.
Okay. So as I see with scaling often comes complexity, and if not managed well, they can lead to chaos within the company. What strategies would you suggest to prevent or address chaos in processes as company grow?
So first of all, remember that process is not a goal. So process is a way to make you work better, but process is not your goal. So whenever your company grows, you have more people hired, you have different teams changing, evolving. You don't stick to your process just because it's written down. You need to think why this process was created and what it wants to accomplish. Some processes are created because of legal requirements. So you cannot change them that much, or you have to change them when the law changes. But a lot of the processes are a result of a current situation of your team. So when new people join and they see that something can be improved, you need to remember that the process is just like a way to success. It's not a success in itself. Also, I think in a lot of teams, people are very attached to their processes. When you first start working in a small company, you create a lot of systems, a lot of processes to make you work better. And then new people come and they say, I actually would like to work in a different way. And you feel kind of offended because that was a great idea. That was a great process. So what do they want? You have to remember that the process are just a result of current situation, and they should be changing as the company is evolving.
So what should I do in this situation when someone comes and say, for example, I want to work in your company in my way? No, it's not in my way, like that way, in another way than like you are guys working, okay? What should I do in this situation?
You need to think about why do you work in the way that you do, and what is the goal that you want to accomplish. If the person that wants to change the way you work is still accomplishing the same goal, you need to look if it's more effective or if it's not more effective. And then if you find out that it's actually beneficial to you, you agree on the change. And if you think that it's not the right time to make this change, you communicate it back. So you explain why this vision is not working with our current goal. And you allow for the person to kind of, maybe they will be unhappy for a moment, but if they understand the reason, they will come to you. Yeah, they will come to you with new improvements. It's just that sometimes when people are communicating new processes, the owner of the process looks at it, they see that it's not valid right now to implement, and they don't give feedback. They say no, because I know that it's wrong, but they don't explain. So they don't communicate it back. And that's where the tension starts, and that's where the problems build up.
Yeah, it sounds like, to our listeners, don't forget to analyze everything, just because potentially someone like can come to you and suggest a new way like to work, and it can become like better than yours. So don't
Yeah.
forget to analyze, and also don't forget about your business goal. Okay.
Yeah. I think
So
also like improvement is a mindset. So you have to always remember that you want to do better, you want to be more efficient, and you have to look for ways to be more efficient. And it's not easy. Sometimes we don't have space for that, but it's important to keep in mind that this is what makes the companies better in the end.
yeah. So speaking of chaos, one way to avoid it is through process standardization, as I know. So, in your
Yeah.
experience, what are the most effective ways to standardize and streamline that processes?
So it comes back to those mindset. Actually, in order to standardize the process, you need to remember what is the process life cycle and then use it. So the process life cycle is basically
It's
to design.
terminology.
Yes, it's
what is
terminology.
yeah?
So
What is life cycle of the process?
so it's first you design the process. So you create the way you work, right?
Okay.
You model it. So you look at it and then you try to make it a little bit better. For example, I don't know, if you find that responding to every email when it comes is distracting, then you model this process and you respond to the emails like twice a day, for example. You execute, so you work in the way that you think will be better for you, and you monitor the results. So you see, okay, maybe from my boss, I want to respond right away, but from all of the other people, I can respond twice a day, and that's enough. And then you optimize. So you make the changes that you just figured out, and then you continuously refine this process. So this doesn't stop. So when you refine, then again, you work in this model for a while. You see if it works, if it doesn't, and then you try to adjust and change. And
Okay.
that's just that never stops, actually.
Yeah, it's a life cycle.
Yeah, it's a life cycle.
I don't have questions here. And my next question is, I forgot my next question. Yeah, it's about leadership. How does leadership help keep a department running smoothly and all like on track with the company's goals?
Yeah, so leadership is really important when it comes to processes. And sometimes you have leaders that are very like vision oriented. They have a lot of great ideas and they are not able to adjust the processes because it's not their style of being style.
Personality.
Yeah, it's not their personality. But they have to remember that
It's all about personality, guys.
Yeah, it's I mean, you are kind of the owner of your personality. So even if you're like a very vision oriented, you want to try new things, you want to do new stuff, you have to remember that processes don't exist only for you. They exist for everyone in the company.
Okay.
And leaders have to be like the forefront of the process management because they are the ones that make their teams work in a way that they want. I think I lost myself there.
It sounds not so good.
Yeah,
anyway.
It doesn't sound very good. But if the leadership makes an example of working with the processes, their team will follow. So even if you are a very vision-oriented person, you still need to have some rules that you adhere to so that your team can follow the same rules. And if you, as a leader, don't follow any rules, you cannot expect your teams to be process-oriented.
Yeah, and is it like, we don't have a kind of question, but I'm interested personally. Is it the difference between leadership and like leader and manager?
Well, to me, manager should be a leader But in general terms, manager is the person who's more looking at the maybe data and trying to figure out how they can adjust the reality to the numbers they want to see.
Mm-hmm.
And leader is a person that is actually in charge of making this change.
Okay.
So manager is kind of figuring out the strategy and the vision, and they sometimes don't have the personality to be a leader, but they always have someone in the team. They should have someone in the team that can kind of direct everyone in the into the future that they want to see.
Yeah, that's exactly the difference between the leader who you like want to follow.
Yes.
I don't know anyone who wants to follow his manager, but just because I've seen like videos on YouTube, people were explaining the difference in their way, the difference between leaders and managers. And for me personally, as I understand, the leader is the person you want to follow, and manager, in most cases, they don't have kind of personality to show you. Okay, but probably they don't have to do that. Just because that person is responsible for managing, for like not for leading you. Or
yeah, I think so. And also, you said that you are a very technical person. So it's probably easier for you to think about strategy and to explain this strategy to people, but maybe it's not that easy for you to make the people want to follow your strategy. Because you are a technical person, so you are focused on numbers, on data, on like the measurable things. When, working with people, it's a lot about emotions and a lot about like creating those relationships.
Yeah, emotions. That's the correct word.
Yeah.
I heard you are releasing an ebook, Kamila, on building a sales team from scratch. Can you share some insights, like it will provide and when it will be available and how people can get one?
Yes. So when I finished my my recent job as a sales operations manager, I realized that there are a lot of foundational mistakes that people do when creating sales teams that later in the future are very hard to resolve when your team grows. So I kind of sat down and I put everything that I wanted to do within that company into paper. Mm-hmm. And I will be releasing that by the end of September. And I have created kind of workbooks that will help you set up the basis for your sales team. So I have created some workbooks for the managers that are interested in building sales team that cover things from like business processes that sales teams needs to be aware of before starting, like basic selling techniques that you can recommend to your team, or you can pick one that works well with your product, your strategy. I have created sets of KPIs that you can look at to track how your team is going, because the data that we talked about before. Yeah. And I have created a funnel for sales and marketing so that you can prepare for cooperation of those departments, because I think this is like the biggest love-hate story within the company. Sales and marketing, they are always fighting when in reality they should be working together. So those lead magnets are available on my website, those notebooks, and you can check them out and start creating your perfect sales team from scratch.
Okay, so mark your calendars. Guys, thank you so much, Kamila, for sharing your valuable insights with us today. And I'm sure that your expertise has provided me and our listeners with practical advice and a deeper understanding of the challenges and opportunities in this area. It's kind of like outro. Okay.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure to learn from you, to having you on this podcast. If you want to learn more about Kamila, I will place the website down below in the description. It's Zurito. Kamila is CEO and founder. So, and if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, hit that like buttons, and share it with others who might benefit from these insights, just because it was very helpful for me personally. So stay tuned for our next episode. We'll continue to explore more topics to help you optimize and grow your business. Thanks for watching. That's all for today.